Hello everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today, we're going to explore the moment Tuna returns to the farm and freezes because in just a few days, Alex has secretly rebuilt her future, turning the broken old house into a brand new home, and one quiet confession on the village road may change their relationship forever. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next videos. Dawn seeped in through the gaps of the old wooden slats, turning the little kitchen a soft, dusty gold. Tuna cradled Henry against her shoulder, swaying gently as she whispered into his hair. "Henry, dance for mommy, okay? Be a good boy and wait while I cook your porridge," Henry answered with a tiny coo, blinking up at her with wide, innocent eyes. Tuna smiled, kissed his forehead, and laid him down carefully on the thin mattress near the stove. She tucked the blanket around him, then turned to Grandma, the elderly woman with rough, calloused hands and a steady gaze that had seen too many hard seasons. "Grandma, can you feed him for me?" Tuna asked softly. "Spoon by spoon. He's hungry." Grandma nodded without hesitation. "Go, I'll handle it." Henry opened his mouth eagerly as the first spoon came. He ate with that serious baby focus, tiny lips pursed, cheeks puffing, little satisfied sounds filling the room. Tuna watched for a moment, warmth spreading through her chest. Seeing her son eat well always felt like proof that she was still doing something right, even when life felt heavy. She hurried outside to tend the chickens while the air was still cool. Chickens clucked and fluttered around her feet as she scattered feed, then checked their water. Her movements were fast, practiced 10 tasks in one breath. Back inside, she lit the stove and set the rice pot on. Wood smoke rose in a thin ribbon, and the kitchen warmed. The scent of fresh rice mixed with smoke, chasing away the last of the morning chill. Tuna moved through breakfast automatically, glancing toward Henry every few seconds, the way mothers do without thinking. When Henry finished eating, his eyelids grew heavy. He let out a sleepy, content sound and drifted off, one tiny fist still curled. Tuna exhaled, shoulders dropping at last. "Come eat, Grandma," she said, setting a bowl on the table. "After breakfast, please go rest. I'll head to the fields." Grandma sat down slowly, studying Tuna's face. "You look tired," she said. "Not just tired, something else." Tuna hesitated, then gave a small, embarrassed laugh. "It's nothing." But her voice wavered, and the truth slipped out anyway. "Grandma, I'm lucky. Alex has been by my side. He takes care of me and Henry. He's really kind." Grandma's spoon paused mid-air. "Kind is rare," she said quietly. "And his mother too," Tuna added, eyes shining. "She's very kind. When she speaks to me, I don't feel judged. I feel like I can breathe." The words sounded simple, but they carried years behind them. Years of being the only adult in her world. Years of doing everything alone. The pressure of single motherhood didn't disappear just because someone was kind, but gratitude made the weight feel a little lighter, like she didn't have to hold the entire sky by herself anymore. Sunlight slid through the window and lit Tuna's face. She smiled, and silent tears gathered at her lashes. She didn't wipe them. She let them sit there, like proof she still had feelings left after all the fighting. Across town, Alex stood over a set of blueprints spread wide on a table. Outside, the air felt heavy with moisture, as if rain might come later. Alex's eyes traced the lines of the design, but his mind stayed at the farm, at the old house that creaked in storms, at Tuna's careful hands, at Henry's small body asleep under a thin blanket. Tuna had once admitted she was scared of the cost of building new. Alex understood. When you've spent years counting every coin, the idea of construction feels like jumping into deep water. But to Alex, this wasn't just a house. It was safety. It was dignity. It was a future where Tuna wouldn't flinch every time the wind got loud. He tapped the section labeled Old Structure and spoke softly to himself. That place holds too many memories for her. So he decided to keep it not as their main shelter but as their kitchen, a space that preserved her routines, her history, the part of her life that had kept her standing. The new living house would be sturdy wood, bigger, stronger, built to face storms without fear. A clean yard, a roof that didn't leak, walls that didn't shake. He picked up his phone and dialed Mr. Dung. "Dung," Alex said, voice calm but firm. "I've finalized the design. Keep the old structure as the kitchen. Rebuild the main house in wood. I want your team there as soon as possible." Mr. Dung asked about timing and materials. Alex answered clearly, already thinking ahead: roofing, yard paving, reinforcement. When the call ended, Alex stared at the blueprints again. Every line felt like an unspoken sentence. "I'm building something that will protect them." Later, Alex sat with his mother in her living room, warm tea between them. She asked about the pomelo business for TET orders, deliveries, quality checks. Alex gave her the updates, then shifted gently. "Mum, I'm renovating Tuna's farm," he said. His mother's face brightened. "Good," she said, simple and proud. "That old house isn't safe." "It isn't," Alex agreed. "I had the tall trees around it cut down too. In storms, they were dangerous." His mother nodded, then leaned forward a little, her voice softening. "I want to meet her and Henry. I hope they'll become family soon. They're staying temporarily at Mrs. Tang's," Alex explained. "She lives close to the farm, her leg is injured, but she lives alone, and she was happy to have them there. It's easier for Tuna to tend the pigs and chickens." His mother's eyes shone. "You and Tuna fit well," she said. "I just hope you marry soon." "I'd be so happy," Alex smiled. But a familiar conflict tugged at him, work that never stopped, and feelings that were growing clearer every day. "I'll bring you to visit," he promised. "Soon." He left for work with his mother's hopeful gaze following him out the door. By midday, the warehouse was alive with noise forklifts beeping, truck engines rumbling, workers calling out counts. Crates of red pomelos were stacked high, the air sweet with citrus. Miss Lan walked beside Alex with a clipboard. "We've dispatched the 3rd truck today, sir," she reported. "The red pomelos for Adam are scheduled. Quality is excellent." Alex nodded. "Good. Keep the schedule tight. Tet won't wait." Miss Lan hesitated, then lowered her voice. "About Tuna. She works hard, but she hasn't had formal training. Numbers are difficult for her, and she doesn't know computers." Alex's expression tightened, not with annoyance, but with concern. He'd seen Tuna trying, afraid to make mistakes, afraid to be looked down on. "I know," he said quietly. "Guide her patiently. Step by step." Miss Lan nodded. Alex added, firm and protective. "And don't tell her your worries. She'll overthink and blame herself. I don't want that." "Understood," Miss Lan said. "I won't say a word." Alex exhaled slowly. Work pressure was constant: shipments, clients, inventory, but his mind kept circling back to Tuna. Patience with her wasn't just duty, it was belief. He looked across the warehouse at the moving trucks and stacked crates, then checked the time. The construction site would still be active before sunset. Alex turned to Miss Lan. "I'm going out for a bit," he said. "Call me if anything urgent happens." Then he headed for the door, already thinking of fresh wood, rising beams, and the moment Tuna would finally see what he'd been building for her and Henry. Alex arrived at the construction site as the sun began to dip, turning the sky the color of warm honey. Dust floated in the air, glowing in the light. Hammers rang out in steady rhythm, and voices called across the yard as workers moved beams into place. He stepped out of the car and stood still for a second, taking it in. The frame of the new house was already rising, strong wooden posts, clean lines, the shape of a real home forming where uncertainty used to live. His chest tightened with a feeling he couldn't fully name. Pride, relief, longing, maybe all of it. Mr. Dung spotted him and walked over, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Boss Alex," he said with a respectful nod. Alex kept his tone calm, but his eyes were sharp, scanning everything. "Are you nearly finished for today? Are you following the blueprints I sent this morning?" Mr. Dung gestured toward the structure. "We're following them exactly. The frame will be finished by evening." Alex walked closer, stepping carefully over planks and scattered tools. He examined joints, measurements, the way beams were anchored. He wasn't just checking quality. He was checking safety, imagining storms, imagining wind, imagining Henry running around the yard one day without danger. "What about the roof?" he asked. "And the yard?" "Roofing materials are on the way," Mr. Dung answered quickly. "We'll start as soon as they arrive. The yard will be paved clean. No mud, no puddles." Alex nodded slowly. "Good. Make sure the kitchen structure stays solid too. We're keeping the old house as the kitchen. Don't damage it." Mr. Dung nodded. "Understood." As Alex stood there, the contrast hit him again outwardly. He was a powerful CEO who could approve projects with a phone call. But inside, he was a man quietly building a place for the woman he loved and her child. Every beam felt like a promise, not spoken, but nailed into place. A breeze passed through the unfinished frame, carrying the scent of fresh wood. Alex imagined Tuna stepping inside. He imagined her hand touching the new wall like she couldn't believe it was real. He imagined her sleeping through a storm without flinching at every crack of wind. He turned to Mr. Dung again. "Finish fast, but don't rush quality," he said. "This house has to last." "It will," Mr. Dung promised. Alex left the site with his heart lighter, but also quicker anticipation buzzing under his skin. The day Tuna saw this, everything between them would shift again. Meanwhile, Tuna returned to the farm later than usual, tired from gathering vegetables and carrying baskets until her arms ached. Even as her body begged for rest, she still went straight to the pens, checking pigs, tossing feed, calling to the chickens as if they were part of her family. She was wiping her hands on her apron when she finally turned toward the yard and stopped. For a moment, she didn't breathe. The new house stood there nearly complete. Big, solid, clean lines, strong wood, a wide shape that looked nothing like the fragile, tired shelter she'd lived in for so long. Even the way it stood felt different, like it belonged to a life she hadn't dared to imagine. Tuna's heart slammed against her ribs. Her eyes blurred instantly with tears. "It's so beautiful," she whispered to herself. "So spacious." Her voice trembled, barely able to form the words. She took a slow step forward, then another, as if she was afraid the sight might vanish if she moved too quickly. Behind her, a familiar voice spoke gently. "Do you think it's beautiful?" Tuna turned fast. Alex was there, walking toward her in the fading light. His expression was warm, but his eyes held something deeper, relief and hope tangled together. "Hey, Alex," Tuna's voice cracked. How did you do this so fast?" Alex smiled. "The team works quickly," he said softly, "and I planned it carefully. I'm keeping the old structure as the kitchen. That place is yours. Your memories are there." Tuna covered her mouth with one hand, crying quietly now. Alex continued, as if he wanted her to see every detail. "In 2 or 3 days they'll finish the roof and pave the yard. It'll be cleaner, safer." Tuna looked from the wooden beams to the open yard, then back to Alex. Every detail felt like his silent promise. "I want you and Henry safe. I want you comfortable. I want you to breathe." The constant worry that had lived in her chest, the fear of storms, of broken walls, of Henry getting sick from cold air, melted for a moment. In its place, something fierce rose up. Trust, hope, a bond that felt real and undeniable. She reached for Alex's sleeve, holding it like she needed proof he was here. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't even know how to repay you." Alex shook his head gently. "You don't repay me," he said. "You just live here. You and Henry. That's enough." The sun sank lower, painting the farm in red and orange. The house frame cast long shadows across the yard, and Tuna stood in those shadows, feeling like her life had quietly turned a corner. They still had chores to finish. Life didn't pause just because the heart was full. Tuna and Alex tended the pigs and chickens together under the soft twilight. Alex moved awkwardly at first, city hands learning farm routine, but he didn't complain. He carried feed, fixed a loose latch, checked water buckets. Tuna watched him with a mix of amusement and emotion. "You don't have to help," she said softly. "I want to," Alex replied. "If this is your life, I want to be part of it." When the animals were settled and the last light had faded into deep blue, Alex wiped his hands and looked at Tuna. "It's almost evening," he said gently. "Let me take you back to Mrs. Tang's." Tuna nodded. Warmth spread through her chest again. Mrs. Tang's house was close, and it was safe, but walking back with Alex felt different than walking alone. It felt like the road itself was less heavy. They took the familiar village path side by side. Crickets started singing in the grass, and a light breeze moved through the trees. Their steps were slow and unhurried. Neither of them rushed to fill the silence. After a while, Tuna spoke, her voice quiet but sincere. "I missed you so much." The words came out like something she'd been holding back for days, maybe longer. Alex stopped walking for a second. He looked at her, and the tenderness in his eyes made Tuna's throat tighten. "I missed you too," Alex said softly. "More than you think." Tuna's fingers curled into her sleeve, trying to hide how much the words affected her. But Alex didn't look away. He stepped closer, not touching her yet, just standing in her space like a promise. For a moment, all the pressure of work, all the worry about money and time and storms, faded into the background. Only the quiet connection remained, an aching longing and a hope for something shared. Tuna felt it clearly. Life was still hard. Tomorrow would still demand labor. But with Alex beside her, fear no longer held her the way it used to. They started walking again, their shadows stretching long on the dirt road under the fading light. Two figures moving forward together slowly, steadily, like a feeling growing deeper with each step, real and true. When they reached Mrs. Tang's gate, the warm glow of lantern lights spilled into the yard. Tuna paused, turning toward Alex. "Will you come tomorrow?" she asked, trying to sound casual but failing. Alex smiled. "Of course," he said. "I'll come. And soon, you won't have to stay here anymore. You'll have your home again." Tuna nodded, eyes shining. She didn't say anything else. She didn't need to. Alex watched her step inside, then stood for a moment in the quiet road. Behind him, the new house waited on the farm, unfinished but already full of meaning. And in his chest, the same thought repeated, steady, certain, unshakable. "I'm building a safer tomorrow for them, and I'm not stopping." At dawn, Tuna cares for baby Henry in a humble kitchen, asking Grandma to feed him while she tends chickens and cooks breakfast. With tears, she confesses her gratitude for Alex's support and his mother's kindness, feeling less alone after years of single motherhood. Elsewhere, Alex studies blueprints and chooses a plan that protects Tuna's memories, keep the old structure as the kitchen, and rebuild a home strong enough for storms. He updates his mother, who warmly hopes they marry soon one day, then returns to Tet Pomelo work, instructing Miss Land to guide Tuna patiently and keep worries from her. At sunset, Alex checks the construction site and pushes for careful progress. Tuna returns exhausted, freezes at the finished house, and is overwhelmed. Walking her back to Mrs. Tang's, she finally admits, "I missed you."